Few people understand the Vatican better than John Allen, a senior correspondent for the National Catholic Reporter based in Rome. When Pope Benedict announced his resignation, John started doing his homework on the cardinals who will most likely be considered for the job. This is Habemus Papabili. Okay, John, Leonardo Sandri, 69 years old, Argentinian, currently the prefect of the Congregation for the Eastern Churches. What do we need to know about Cardinal Sandri?
Well, Sebastian, I think the cardinals who are going to be voting in this conclave are really looking for three things. They're looking for somebody with global vision who can somehow embrace the 2/3 of Catholics today, the 1.2 billion Catholics in the world who live outside the West. Secondly, they're looking for an evangelizer, somebody who can relight the missionary fires of the church. And third, they're looking for a governor, somebody who can get his hands around the administrative dimension of the papacy, and in particular, clean up the act in the Roman Curia, in the Vatican. Sandri, in many ways, sort of ticks all those boxes. I mean, as you say, born in Argentina, so he would sort of symbolize the church outside the West, but functionally he's an Italian. He spent his entire life in Rome working inside the system in the Holy See and in papal embassies around the world. So be very well suited as a bishop of Rome, but his biography brings the first world and third world together. In terms of an evangelist, he doesn't have any pastoral experience. That is, he's never run a diocese, which would be the knock against him. But he has played at an awfully big stage here in Rome. He was the man who, in April 2005, stepped out to inform the crowd in St. Peter's Square that John Paul was dead, using that memorable line, "Tonight we all feel as if we're orphans because we have lost our father." He knows what it's like to be there when the Klieg lights are on. And third, if you're looking for a governor, I think most guys would say this is the guy who can make the trains run on time. You know, he was the substitute, sort of the chief of staff under John Paul II. And many people would think that during those years, during his term, the system worked very well. So if you're looking for somebody who can get his hands around the behemoth of the bureaucracy in the Holy See, a lot of people would say that guy is Leonardo Sandri.
He has that administrative experience. Does having that experience come with some baggage too?
It always does. I mean, when you've been responsible for anything for a long period of time, then people are going to associate both what they like about that administration and what they don't like about it with you. Of course, he worked under Cardinal Angelo Sodano, the former Secretary of State, who is now the Dean of the College of Cardinals. Cardinal Sodano's tenure was controversial. There were aspects of it that people think come with some baggage. But on the other hand, the trick in trying to find a governor in this election is to find somebody who is enough of an insider that you think it's plausible that they could get the place under control, but enough of an outsider that you don't associate them with things you don't like. Now, Sandri's good fortune in that regard is that he left the role of being a substitute around the same time that Cardinal Tarcisio Bertone, the current Secretary of State, took over. And frankly, most people would say the breakdowns in Vatican governance over the last 8 years that they really want to fix, they would associate with Bertone and not with Sandri. So he might profile as the solution rather than the problem.
One of the characteristics that a lot of people are talking about when they're looking for the new pope is almost like a tangible holiness, a charisma, something that you can immediately connect with people. Does Sandri have that?
Well, I don't know that Sandri sort of radiates prayerfulness in the same way that, say, Benedict XVI does, or a guy like Cardinal Mark Ouellet would, who you can just sort of almost smell the spirituality wafting off of them. I mean, it's obvious that their thinking comes from a lot of time on their knees. Sandri is a career diplomat. He's a bit more breezy and a bit more sort of earthy than that. But I think that in many ways is part of his charm. I mean, there's a real faith underneath that, obviously. But, he has the capacity to engage people from a wide variety of walks of life and sort of make the whole Catholic shtick, if you like, seem reasonable to them and seem accessible to them. So it's not overt holiness in the way that some other figures produce it, but it is kind of a charming, relaxed, informal sort of point of entry into the Catholic experience.
Thanks very much, John.
You're welcome.